Welcome everyone to the August monthly meeting of the Acquisitions SIG for koha-US. I wanted to, first of all, do some introductions because part of the purpose for this is to build connections. And I'd just like to, give everybody a chance to kind of introduce themselves so that you can connect with other people that might be in a similar situation as you. So if you can just give your name and just tell, how you use EDI in your libraries, and then we'll go around. I'll just use the order that's on my screen and call people out, and you can introduce yourself. So I'll just start. My name is Rhonda Kuiper. I work at the Round Rock Public Library in Round Rock, Texas, and we use all of the acquisition stuff for EDI ordering, and we have a few vendors that aren't EDI. So Lauren, you're next.
I am Lauren Denny. I work with Teamwork Library Consortium, which is a global consortium. And I don't use the acquisition module, but I support us a consortium. And I have a question of a problem that we have, and I don't know how to fix. So I'm hoping this group can help me know how to fix it.
Sounds good. All right, Barbara.
Hi, I'm Barbara Johnson. I'm Technical Services Manager at Bedford Public Library in Bedford, Texas. And we use acquisitions, but we are non-EDI.
Okay, thanks. Avery.
Hi, I'm Avery Clements. I do technical services with CLAMS. I don't work too much with the acquisitions module, but I do think we are going to have some of our cataloging folks join later that can be a little bit more helpful. I'm looking to kind of sit in and get to learn the acquisitions module and hear what you guys are doing with it.
Okay, all right. It's a good place to come for that. Michelle. Okay. I see in the chat, good morning from Michelle. Okay. Michelle is with Williamson County Public Library. She's an acquisition specialist. And welcome, Michelle. And then next on my screen is Holly Campbell, who also, okay. So how Michelle said that they use EDI and their main vendor is Ingram, which is very similar to us. And then next on my screen is Holly Campbell. She wrote in the chat, good morning, I'm an acquisitions assistant at Williamson County Public Library in Franklin, Tennessee. We use the acquisition module for receiving and invoicing EDI through our vendor Ingram. We also use it non-EDI. So, okay, thank you. Then, oh dear, my order got all messed up. Okay. All right, the other Michelle. Hi.
Hello, I'm Michelle Spinney from the CLAMS Library Network.
Okay. And I know it's the CLAMS Library Network. Is it the director? I recognize you, but I don't remember your name. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, I should have changed that. It's Eileen Chandler from CLAMS, and I'm the director there. And we're just hoping to meet up with specifically another consortia that uses acquisitions. We have 2 libraries using acquisitions, and we have lots of questions and little direction from our vendor.
Okay. Sheri is asking, where is CLAMS?
CLAMS is Cape Libraries Automated Materials Sharing, and it's a network of public libraries with one community college based on Cape Cod, Massachusetts, Nantucket Island, and Martha's Vineyard.
Okay. All right, thanks. Lori. All right, my mic is malfunctioning. I'm TS manager at Williamson County Public Library in Tennessee and work with Michelle and Holly. Okay, great. If I massacre the Deanie, did I get that right?
It's Danae.
Danae, sorry. There's no
That's right.
accent thingy.
I'm Danae Phillips. I work for the Rancho Mirage Public Library. We do use acquisitions and EDI.
Okay. All right. Welcome. Jason.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Got a weird setup today. I'm Jason Robb from the Southeast Kansas Library System. We are a consortium of 48 public and 1 academic library. We only use acquisitions for purchase suggestions at this point, so we don't use EDI.
Okay. All right. Sheri.
I'm Sheri Waite from the Library Consortium of Eastern Idaho. My library is the only library in our consortium who uses the acquisitions program, but we do not use EDI at this point.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Sheri. Holly McDougall.
Hey, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, everything seems a little funky on my end. I am the acquisitions assistant at Round Rock Public Library. I work with Rhonda, and we do use the acquisitions module, and we do use EDI.
Thanks. Cecil?
Hi, I'm Cecil Hilliard from Washoe County Library in Reno, and I am cataloger and acquisitions. We use EDI.
Okay. And Marcy?
Hi, I'm Marcy Chen from the McKinney Public Library in Texas. We use all of the acquisitions module, including EDI, ordering, and invoicing.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, everybody. So I think we pretty much covered, I know we've got East Coast, Midwest, all the way at least to Idaho. I don't know if anybody's actually on the West Coast, but we've covered a good part of the United States here. So great. And I know people said as they introduced themselves that they had some questions. And so that's kind of what we're here about. I know Lauren, pardon me, mentioned that you had some questions or a question.
Yes, so I have one library that is using acquisitions, and somehow I do not know who or when but anyway, a record got deleted that was connected to an acquisitions account. And we have not been able to restore it, which I'm not, what I want to do is, how do I prevent that from happening again? Like, how can I tell people, listen, if you see this in a record from the MARC view, don't touch it. Leave it alone. Don't merge it. Don't do anything, because that's being used specifically by acquisitions in another library. Does anyone have workflows around that? Suggestions? I have no clue. I don't know how it happened, but I don't want it to happen again.
So what you're seeing, what's the end result of this record being deleted? Are you seeing like in the basket, it's like deleted item or something like that? Or what are you seeing?
Let me, they sent me a screen share.
Okay.
So that is what we are seeing,
Okay.
but I do not know how.
Often, and whoever can correct me if I'm wrong, often there's a pop-up window that comes up when you try to delete something that's connected to a basket like that. Not always. I haven't figured out what, and it says, you know, if you delete this, you're going to mess up acquisitions. Paraphrasing. So telling people not to do that,
Okay.
you know, not to just, okay, you know, whatever, past
Okay.
that pop-up would be the first thing I would suggest. Sometimes.
Will that pop-up show on all, like if someone has disabled pop-ups?
Go. Then it probably
Like I
won't
can
show.
see some libraries having pop-ups disabled. I know some browsers are a little bit more friendly with pop-ups than others. Is there a system preference that I need? Like, is that the default, or do I need to turn something on?
That's the default.
Okay.
All right. CLAMS Library is saying that they limit bib deletions to central CLAMS network staff only. So they don't, there is a system preference that allows deleting bibs or not. So you could limit who has the power to do that.
Okay.
Well, we have, sorry, this is Eileen. We have very centralized cataloging. So we recently, to our horror, found out that our libraries could delete each other's items, even though we were told when we migrated to Koha that that is protected. So we just found out that is not, in fact, the case. So theoretically, we limit bib deletions to the network staff only. Okay. So I don't know, you know, then if they would see that pop up or not. So yeah, I mean, this is a pain point for us in that we need a mid-level set of permissions where the libraries have limited access only to their own items, even though we share everything. But we do not want them deleting anyone else's stuff, and we do not want them deleting bib records that we download centrally from OCLC. So, and this permission thing also leaks over into acquisitions. We're finding, you know, if they can, for instance, if they want to change a framework after they download, they have full access to the bib database, which is a no-no for us. So we're just finding all these little gaps where they can get in and mess with stuff that we do not want them touching. So if anyone is interested in mid-level acquisitions, cataloging permissions, we will be working on a development and getting a price. To me, they have too, you know, we want them to have access, but not have to have access where they can interfere with the central database or with other people's items. Or we want them to have access to frameworks if they need to change one without having access to the whole database.
Okay.
Definitely a point of pain for us. Pain point.
All right, thanks. Does anybody else have any thoughts on this particular question? Okay.
One follow-up question I have. So I know we've got a couple people who are trying, we have a lot of duplicate records and we're in the process of like merging them. Does that pop-up show up when you're trying to merge? one of those records. 'Cause that's different. Like you merge it, and then that record doesn't have an item. So now it's going to want to be deleted. That's like a separate. When would that pop up? Do you know?
I don't know, because I don't know that we've done.
Okay.
But
This is Marcy. If I'm not mistaken, because we had a lot of cleanup that we were doing and merging records, I believe that as long as you don't delete the item records, if you merge the bibs, it travels, the acquisition link remains, in my experience.
Everyone hear me? It's Michelle in Tennessee. Marcy, I have merged records as well, and you're correct. The acquisitions information does carry over, so that should not affect the basket at all. It shouldn't, you shouldn't, and I've never gotten the note either, the pop-up box. So it is safe to merge without getting that message. Have you tried a modification log to see who last handled? I just learned about that from cataloging. It was given access to modification logs to be able to see what happened exactly, when it happened, and who caused the issue.
I have not. That sounds like a good place I need to go. Thank you.
All right. And then just an aside, baskets that have that deleted bib thing in there, they're going to stay open forever, unless you ask Bywater to go in and fix that, is our experience. They will hang out forever on your open baskets page, with a deleted thing like that. There is a bug. There is a bug out there related to this. And let me see. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's can't cancel order line if title is deleted. So if the title is deleted, you can't get rid of that order line from your basket. It will just, you can delete it and do all kinds of things, but it will still stay there. So there's a bug out there. It's 10869, can't cancel order line if title is deleted, which has failed QA. So they're working on it. But that's just kind of an aside for that. But I don't know how to totally prevent that. We've had it happen a couple of times ourselves. Okay. Anybody else? I think that's okay. Lori just put in the chat, we started having acquisitions and EDI issues in mid-July, while an invoicing issue was solved by a plugin update. We continued to have issues. Most recently was staging the basket and the item information. Oh. I think you were the one that did, is your main vendor Ingram? because we had a similar experience. Yes. Okay. We had a similar experience with our plugin Ingram. And actually this afternoon, I'm supposed to work with Ingram. They're changing the passwords on all of their FTP servers. And we needed to have Bywater update our plugin because Ingram changed things to be encoded or something like that. The passwords were encoded and they weren't before, so there was all kinds of issues there. So, and actually we have, and Holly helped me out here, but we do have a issue. We've got one basket that we just can't seem to order. It doesn't want to go through. We've got Bywater looking at it, and Holly, is it at the staging of the basket that we?
It's not bringing all the records over. It's cutting off randomly.
Yeah.
If I remember rightly, when it happened the last time, it was something, maybe a title had an ampersand, or I cannot remember. It's been so long since, but
yeah,
we've had it happen before where, you know, we stage all the records, everything looks perfect, but once we put the records in the basket, it drops, you know, 3/4 of the order, and we don't know why.
Yeah. Yeah, so they finally fixed the ampersand thing. So that I think is working now. Yeah. And that was a while ago that happened to us. Let's see the downside. Okay, so Michelle Fisher is saying, oh my goodness, I had the same issue last fiscal year. I gave up and ordered through iPage. The downside was that the invoice didn't come EDI. Yeah, that is definitely the downside. So we are we're working with Backstage, but it's really good, Lori, to know that you are also having a similar issue. So maybe we can pool our resources and see. Let's see. We have a ticket in, and they were going to let's see. Education looked at it, then data looked at it, and now developers are looking at it. But if you could, have you opened a ticket, Lori, for this? Oh, we had problems. Have the number of items changed and within information? Okay, yes, you have. Okay, so maybe we can cross-reference each other and say, which library are you from, Lori? Tennessee. Okay, Williamson Public Library. All right, and we're Round Rock Public Library. I might mention in our ticket, that we talked to you and there's a similar thing going on, so that they understand that it's not just a one-off kind of thing. That might give it more weight as they look at it. So yeah, I think it is a thing, especially Lori, have you had Ingram change your FTP password already? No, this is the first time I've hearing of it. Okay. Yeah, they just randomly called me on Friday and said, we're updating all of our FTP password, how Ingram has done this whole, what is it called? The dual authentication or whatever to log in and stuff. So they're making everything really hard to break into. And so you may get a phone call from them. They're just kind of going down their list of people and setting up these times to change the password so that when they change it, we'll have to go into our admin stuff and change the password there as well. Shouldn't take long, and hopefully, knock on wood, it won't break anything. But yeah, that's something that's probably going to happen with you guys in too. Okay. All right, so we can pool our, reference each other, I guess that's what I'm trying to say, in our tickets, and then we can. Okay, we also recently started having issues with multi-item ordering. I don't think we have EDI with Ingram. Yeah, we haven't seen that. Michelle, can you explain?
Oh, sorry about that. I actually was going over into our administrative settings to see if that FTP information showed any changes. So I got distracted.
Okay.
What's the question again?
I guess, the fact that you ordered through iPage.
Oh, okay. I see what the question is. So once the order in iPage is downloaded, that list and pulled into Koha in the staging the basket portion, well, the feature to change locations, to change funds, etc., according to the list has been turned on. It was turned on for us years ago, caused problems with our previous acquisitions librarian, and she asked Koha to turn that feature off. It's now been turned back on. So I noticed when I was staging my basket, that item tab that's in the middle where you set everything for where the home branch is, to what type of material it is, which my particular list was a book. And then you go to the first tab. I was trained to work backwards for those 3 tabs so that you don't accidentally click save on one of those and then have to go record by record to make your updates. So I work from right to left. So the very last tab has all your titles, and where you hit the select all, it opens up. Well, when it opens up, you now have a column on the right side that's strictly for items, and that's where you can change to specific locations, specific funds. Well, where it's not helpful is typically the main branch is ordering the most of something. Say it's a high demand title and 2 branches want it. Well, I want the majority of the list to be the main branch, and then choose those titles that I'm ordering multiples of to reflect the branches. It's not retaining that information. So that middle tab where the majority sets is not carrying over to the individual titles. So it's actually creating more work instead of less. And there's a ticket in for it. They're looking at it. I do believe it's a known bug. Is that correct, Lori? Did they say that was a known bug? Has anyone else had that issue? It would only arise when you're trying to set your basket to reflect more than one location.
Yeah. I don't see a response, and I don't hear a response. We only have 1 location, so we wouldn't run into that issue.
Yeah, I figured it'd be for most libraries that would be ordering for branches, and we are centralized. So we have 4 other branch. Well, even within this main library, we have a special collections department that kind of acts as a branch within itself. That she has her own budget, and there's a location code and all of that. So even within this branch, if I'm setting for a specific part of the library, it's not retaining the information, and it's giving me what it's doing is defaulting to our branch that starts with a B. So it's defaulting to the top. It's also doing that for the item type instead of book that I set it for in that middle tab. It's defaulting to art reproduction, which we have some art reproductions in this library, but then I have to go through every order. In my last order, I had 75, and I had to change every one of those to reflect book in every one of those. So yeah, it can be super time consuming.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't think we've run across that. But it's good to know. Okay. Yeah. I haven't seen that issue myself.
So Rhonda, when you're ordering and you're staging your basket, are you only getting those 3 tabs that show your the account detail, your item detail, as well as all the titles? You're not getting that right side column that lets you individualize.
So the right side column. Okay, Holly, you got to help me here. So we get the 3 tabs at the top.
Okay.
And
if you'll click that first tab where it has your titles and you click select all, does that open up a right side for you?
Let me get to, so that's when you're ordering, right?
Yes, in the ordering process, it's actually staging the basket before all these titles get pulled in, before you hit save and save to the basket.
Okay. I guess, yeah, I don't have anything right here that I can just quick, I maybe should have something that I could quick pull up. But Holly, does that make sense to you? We get the 3 tabs.
We don't change anything on price when, I mean, you can, I know that you have manipulated what the discount is for certain vendors, but we don't really mess with price. I mean, unless we're doing it non-EDI, whatever comes in, comes in.
And and we don't mess with the locations either.
Yeah, and it holds my price. That's funny because it will hold certain things. The price is the discounted price pulled in from Ingram. It reflects correctly. It does reflect the fund correctly. However, it's having to change those branches that it's not holding that information. And I wonder if because you're not seeing it, that feature's not turned on for you. And if that's the case, maybe we should have that feature turned off at this point.
Yeah.
But Lori did look up for us, and it was shown as a bug from 2019.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, part of it is, we don't have extra branches, so we would never, we just always have the same branch. So.
Okay.
And I think a lot of, I'm just looking at the people on the call, and a number of them are single locations that have been using it for a while.
Well, that makes perfect sense. I could see that not being useful for you.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry we don't have a better answer for you.
No, that's okay. I appreciate it.
Okay. I'm going to move on to the next question, which Eileen has put in the chat. So I'll just read it. Does anyone use multiple price fixed fields in the items created when importing from Ingram, etc.? Replacement price, discount price, list price, and percentage discount displayed in the item record. Pardon me. And or is it possible to run acquisition records showing 3 different prices and the discount applied to each title? The library wants to let selectors know what they have actually spent, the real amount with discount, and what they have left in their assigned book buying budgets. And then I'm just going to read the next part too. One of the price fields is free text, whereas replacement cost requires an actual price with a decimal. Has anyone changed the free text price field to require a real dollar amount? So,
it's just, this is Eileen.
Yeah.
One of our libraries, wants 3 price fields, and then she says, we don't do acquisitions at the network level, so we're trying to understand what their needs are. So they have decided for all replacement prices that they're going to charge $25. So that replacement, whereas the rest of our libraries want the real replacement cost. So she wants the 3 prices, and then Michelle, correct me if I'm wrong, but one of those optional price fields, we can only get two to come over, right now, and they're not working properly. We want to make sure that everyone has the replacement price that they need in bills, that they have to use, that's a required field. But 2 of our libraries use acquisitions, and we're also trying to accommodate all of these price fields that one of those acquisition libraries wants. So she wants to, have the replacement price as $25 for everything, no matter how much it costs, which seems odd. And then she wants the discounted price, and she wants the list price. Whereas I understand it, the list price is usually the same as the replacement price. I'm not sure. But then she also wants to be able to tell her selectors, not that they have spent $500 if they have discounts on a particular invoice. And she says it depends on the publisher. So when she gets an invoice from Ingram, it won't be, a 10% discount on every title. Each title has a certain, based on the publisher, has a certain discount. Yeah. So she either wants to show that in the item record so she can run a report to tell her selectors what they've really spent, or somehow to work that into an acquisitions report that pulls the discount price from the invoice. She doesn't want to. What do most people tell their selectors if you have selectors? Do you tell them the list price and then at the end of the year give them a nice surprise by saying, oh, by the way, you have $200 left because those were actually the list prices I gave you, which seems a much easier way to do it. But no, they want to pull an actual report. If it's not in the item record, if it's not mapped to the item record, pull an actual report to say, okay, children's department, this is how much you have actually left to spend.
So this is Marcy at McKinney, and we're only utilizing 2 prices, but we use the discounted price always for that maps into subfield G of the item record. And so all of our records have that. If I understand what you're saying, you have some libraries that want to use the retail price as the replacement cost if someone loses or damages a book, and then you have one that wants to use a flat $25. Is that correct?
Yes, and I know there's other options where we could get them. That particular library could do a batch update
Yeah.
to change. So, you know, I mean, we're thinking of that too, but the discount price you have in subfield G, what's the second price that you use?
The second price is the subfield V in the item record, and that's actually populated. I think it has a placeholder when I bring in the on order record, but when the vendor provides me with my final mark record and with the final full item record, then it will, depending on the vendor, it will either be the retail price, or it will be our discounted price plus what we pay for cataloging and processing. So some vendors could fine tune it to whatever, you know, the specific amount that we're paying above discount. And some were like, no, we can do either a flat $5 or we can put the retail price in there.
So did you just say, oh, okay, so subfield V is what you use to charge the patron if they lose the book?
Yes.
And subfield G is the discount price where you can tell your selector the real amount that they have spent.
That is correct.
I don't know why she wants the third price or so you don't show percentage at all. You just show the actual discount price.
Yes,
okay.
That is correct.
And I have another question before it goes out of my head. So Michelle, who's on this call, mentioned that one of the price fields that we're using, I have no idea which one, is actually a free text field. So now we have other libraries not using acquisitions, putting call numbers and stuff for whatever reason. So are both of these G and V, are they real price fields, or are either of those a text field?
I don't know for sure, but because I've never tried to use them as text fields.
Well, yeah, that would make sense. I see Michelle is saying both price fields. I don't know what that means. Both are free text?
You're saying only one, it's both. Yeah, they can enter a barcode in there, they can put a call number in the price field. And in our last system, it had to be currency. So you could only enter numbers, and there was a decimal point already in there, and there was a dollar sign. And in our koha, so maybe it's different in others, it's free text. They have to type it out, and so they're putting barcodes and call numbers and stuff in there.
Oh, why would they do that? Anyway, I'm sorry. It's like, you know, if they're going to do something wrong, they'll find a place to add little notes and stuff. But my thing is, so subfield G and V, is that where we're using, Michelle, in the mapping? We were told we could use a third price field, but it's never worked. And I can't remember what subfield it was. And I don't know why they want that third price. It's confusing all of the other users. So I think this makes sense. Subfield G for the discount price and subfield V for the retail price plus any processing fee. And then after they import the items, they could run a, batch edit on the items to change that V to $25 if they want. I don't know what the third price field is. It has never really worked anyway. But we were told by Bywater that Koha would allow a third price field.
It might be that they're using a field that you're not using.
Exactly. That's what it was.
You know, the item records have a whole bunch of fields, and, you know, we don't use them all. We've taken the, oh shoot, I forget which one it is. The serial enumeration chronology thing. We use that for something else. It's just a free text field. So they may have said, hey, you can just use, you know, one of these other ones that you're not using. That's a free text field to put the currency in.
So are most people on this call so that I can go back, so that we can go back and talk to our 2 acquisitions libraries, and they're not agreeing on this? That's the other thing. We're trying for the 2 to have consensus. Are most people on this call using up to 2 price fields in the item mapping? Am I correct in that?
Yep, we're using 2. Yeah, give
Okay.
give a thumbs up if you're using 2, like Cecil did. Oh yeah, okay, we've got lots of
Okay, so
comments.
it's quite
Yes,
common to
2,
use the
2.
2. Okay. But nobody is using 3. I mean, plus a discount price. Now, what about reports? I don't want to take up the whole meeting, but I would love to talk to a consortium after this, so I'm not taking up the whole meeting, to see if they're willing to meet with us and these 2 libraries to give practical advice, the 2 price fields, and also somebody who's EDI, they're using EDI, and using acquisitions reports. We haven't run any acquisitions reports, and the educators at Bywater, our support vendor, are backlogged with everything, I guess, bringing in new people. So we would just love if someone was willing to speak with us and representatives from the 2 libraries as to what they are doing in a real life situation. And we would need that branches thing that the other Michelle mentioned. Our 2 libraries have branches. So, you know, and at the point of ordering, they used to assign the branch and map it. So that's concerning that it's not working. Does anyone know what that bug number is that they could put in the chat so that we can comment on it? Or at least get back to our libraries and ask them, hey, are you experiencing this? Anyway, if you want to think about it, I know we always talk to Jason at Southeastern Kansas, but I don't want to burden him with everything. But it would need to be a multi-library, you know, consortium with at least 1 library using acquisitions.
Yeah, and sadly I can't help here because we don't use acquisitions at all.
Okay.
Yeah, and
It would just be really helpful if the 2 libraries could hear it from a place that was actually using the acquisitions functions, and to tell them, okay, you know, 2 prices does it for us.
Okay. I'm not seeing that particular bug popping up anywhere. Oh, okay. Lori's looking for that bug. But yeah.
Yeah, we can poke around too, but if you find it, that would be handy to know. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So
Nobody knows if the price fields, the V and G, are actually dollar amounts.
I went in and scribbled all over my price field, you know, just put, you know, random things in and saved it. It took it, but it didn't show up in the item display. And then when I went back and put the actual number in, it actually displayed. So I guess it would be easy to figure this out if we went to the schema. And
well, it's something, you know, if they can put random text in, it's something we're going to talk to our vendor, Bywater, to see if they can make it require an actual amount. Right. Makes sense.
So let's see, what would that be? That would be items.
I did find like a super retro bug on this about price validations. It's 2006-35. but it does look like Katrin commented on it in January of this year. So,
Oh,
but it's from pre-2010, pre-Bugzilla maybe. 2008 is when it was first brought up. And I didn't read through all of it, but I'm guessing the problem is the way we format it versus the way other countries format it. But I think that I would definitely open a ticket with Bywater on this one, just because I feel like Lucas would be able to write some jQuery that causes that validation to happen for you. So I would
yeah.
pursue that.
Thanks, Jason. I did pull up the schema and look at the price and the replacement price, and they both are described as being decimal with 8,2 as their format, which makes me think they should be expecting a decimal number with the format of up to 8 characters with 2 after the decimal point.
And I think, I don't know in our system, Michelle knows our system better than I do, but I hope it says discount price and then it says replacement cost. And we would also like to make the replacement cost mandatory when people are creating items in a different way.
I know for us, if you put something in the subfield G, the regular price, and then tab, it automatically fills the replacement price with the same thing. So I don't know if that's some stuff that we have on our system, or if that's the default, I don't know.
Okay. And I haven't heard of a library deciding on a random amount as a replacement cost. So it's just because one place is doing it. And to me, it's like, they must have a lot of money, because if you're putting $25 on a replacement cost for something that costs you $50, I mean, I kind of question that decision, but it's not my place to question what the library decided, but I'd like them to revisit that.
Okay. All right, Lori's got some bugs in here.
Whoa.
22108, which is items generated through mark item field to order do not receive values applied to item information and default accounting details. That is painful. While adding titles to a basket from a staged file, items and fund choices can be applied item by item on the select to import tab, right? Or can be applied to all titles at once using the item information or default accounting tabs. However, if the library is using mark item fields to order to pull some of these values from vendor supplied mark fields, Koha will ignore selections made on the item information or default accounting details tabs. Nothing in the interface indicates that values selected on those tabs will not be used. Okay, yeah. I've actually seen that when we were messing around with some stuff. If basically what it is if there's a value in a field, like if this is what I was told. So if there's a value, like you have your vendor record come in and there's a value in an item field, then those other tabs will not overwrite what's already there. It will only apply, it will only put what you set in those 2 other tabs if there's an empty, if the field is blank. That's what I was told. So if you have something coming in from EDI and it's got all that stuff filled in, you can't overwrite it by using those other 2 tabs, the select to import tab or the item information.
We did have a situation where one of the acquisitions libraries, when the item was received, the price changed. So the
Mhm.
cataloger is that the bug you just described? If they haven't got it
No.
mapped correctly, when they actually hit the receive, the replacement cost changed.
The replacement cost?
Yeah, they subfield. Yeah, because
The
she's
Vs.
only concerned with the replacement cost. They subfield V.
Okay.
When they actually received it, the price mysteriously changed.
Yeah, that could be if the price coming in from the, you know, that you actually paid was different than what you had in there when you ordered it. Receiving it will put in there what you've actually paid.
But that's the discount price. She doesn't want the discount price in
Yeah.
the replacement cost. She wants the list price.
The list price. Yeah.
So it shouldn't, I mean, why have two fields if when you receive it, it's going to automatically, you know, I mean, you want both prices. You want the discount price and the replacement cost. So I don't understand when she receives it, why it's taken some other price, unless the price has gone up. It's bizarre. I don't understand Michelle's comment here, Michelle.fisher. It's not a default for us. Our processor fills in the replacement cost. So do you mean by your processor or your vendor like Ingram, Michelle?
Oh, Eileen, I'm sorry. That was going back to Rhonda's earlier comment about tabbing through the item record and it automatically fills in those prices. Now for us, when I am downloading from Ingram, I go ahead and price the list and that sets the discount price. So then when I upload that into Koha, it pulls in the discount price. That's what we want to charge our patrons, not retail. We do have like a $5 flat processing fee that goes along with that. It's nowhere in the record, but the circulation department knows that. You just add on $5 to whatever that discounted price is. So to go back to what Rhonda said about tabbing, when you are staging your basket and the price is there and you can tab through, our replacement price doesn't get filled in. And I just wondered if that's an option because our processor in-house, we don't get anything processed from Ingram except Mylar covering. Everything else is done by our processing assistant. She actually fills in the discounted price for every one of our orders. And I've always wondered why that doesn't carry over to the replacement field.
Well, not everyone wants. So, okay. So when your patron gets a bill and it pulls from, it's only charging the replacement cost the same as the discount price. On your bill to the patron, does it say a processing fee may apply?
Yes.
Okay.
And actually, I think the wording on that, there's a flat $30 fee until they come in to actually make the payment. And then it's adjusted. The ladies at circulation will pull that actual record up and go, okay, it's $15.95 plus the $5 processing. And then of course, patrons are happy because it's less than that flat.
Yeah, but what about if it's more? They're not going to be happy.
That is true.
Yeah.
I'd have to ask them about that because more of our photographic books, things like that, the nonfiction titles, you are correct. They would be a little bit more expensive.
Well, now some of our patrons are getting bills where the replacement cost is zero because this is all screwed up.
Wow.
Because one library wants 3 prices plus the discount percentage.
I can see that being very confusing for everybody all around. It works best for us just to have the two.
Yep. Okay. All right. Yeah. Like I said, that might have been something that we requested. Maybe we have some jQuery or something on our system that does that for us. I sort of remember vaguely years ago having that discussion. can't say for sure, don't remember exactly. Okay, we have hit an hour. Okay. Okay, Lori, so I will write this down before I close up. And
Rhonda, while you're taking note, may I reach out to Marcy Chin, please?
sure.
Again, Marcy, I'm Michelle at the Williamson County Public Library in Tennessee.
Yes.
And I remember when we first migrated, it's been 5 years now, 5.5, you worked very closely with Emma Simmons to help us get over the hump because it was a rough time in the beginning. And I want to thank you for that. You helped her so
Aw.
much. You really got us up and running.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that I could share the pain that I went through to get up and running. So
Yeah, she actually retired in 2021. So I have to let her know. She pops by every now and again that you were on the call. And yeah, we thank you so much.
oh, that's great. I appreciate you saying something.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about the Koha community. We help each other out. I wanted to put in a plug before we go that next month we will not meet at this time. We will be meeting during the Koha conference, which is in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. It is September 20 through 23. And I would encourage you, still have a little bit of time here to register, and I'd encourage people to come in person. I know that it's really helped me to be able to make connections with people and, you know, ask questions. You know, Lori and I will be talking afterwards about this little issue that we're having. But, you know, just to meet people face to face, make a connection, and then be able to go back home and know that, you know, you can reach out to different people that may have similar setups as you do. But I really strongly encourage if you can come in person. I know not all libraries are doing travel and all that kind of stuff. I know I'm the only one that's able to come from my library, even though we have a couple people presenting. We're gonna do it virtually, hopefully. Yeah. So next month, no meeting on Tuesday, second Tuesday of the month. But we will be meeting, I think it's the third day of the conference. So that would be the 22nd is the SIG acquisition SIG meeting. You'll have to double check the count. So the conference schedule is at koha-US.org. You can go on there, get all the information you need about the conference. And the cultural event, I think, at this point is kind of a ghost tour of the Portland area, of the main street or the main areas downtown. So it could be kind of fun. Okay, thank you, Barbara. 22nd, acquisition SIG is the 22nd at 3 p.m. Eastern time, which is where we'll be is Eastern time. So hope to see everybody there. If you can't make it in person, then definitely join us online. That's totally free. Just register in advance because they will be sending out links and things like that for you to access the conference. So everybody have a great month, and I hope to see you at the conference. And if you have any questions, we've got the emails that we can send to each other, and we'll see you soon. Have a good the rest of August.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take
Bye,
care.
everybody.